Hello clients, welcome to our Spring Update 2024 video. There's a bunch of things that I need to tell all of you, and rather than taking a big chunk of our precious spring review time to regurgitate information to you, I thought I'd make a video that you can watch ahead of time. You can listen to it in the car, you can play it on 1.5x speed if I don't already talk way too fast for you, or you can slow it down to 0.8 if I do talk too fast. And that'll allow you to just digest this information apart from our meeting, and then you can ask us questions in the meeting related to it. So I got 4 categories for you here today in this spring update video. Number 1, big picture updates with the economy, markets, those types of things. Number 2, firm updates. 3, some action items for you going into the review that will apply to everyone, right? You specifically may have specific action items that will also send you directly. And then number 4, just some personal updates from my life. I like to keep the meetings mostly focused on you and your life, right? But some of you have asked about me and my family and whatnot, so thought this would be a good way to share that. So first, big picture updates, right? One of the big news, of course, coming off of 2023 is that the markets have recovered. The S&P 500 fully recovered and broke new ground on January 19th of 2024. It basically peaked at the end of 2021, as we remember, right? Kind of went all the way down, bottomed out in October of 2022, and then it's kind of slowly herky-jerky climbed back to now an all-time high. So that one recovered. Some of the other indexes, right, that we follow are already past that. Some of them haven't quite recovered, but maybe they didn't fall as far as the S&P 500 to begin with, right? So indexes are all over the place, right? That's why we invest across multiple indexes, and we don't obviously just put all your money in the S&P 500, but the S&P 500 is the main one that we track just as that kind of an indicator of the overall markets. And so it's great news that recovered. I'll also point out, right, that this is just the price. The price of the index recovered in about 2 years, 15 days. But with dividends reinvested as a crucial part of our total return, that you actually would have recovered earlier, back in the fall of 2023. If you'd reinvested all those dividends, you would have broke even a lot sooner. And so that's an underappreciated aspect, right, of being co-owners in the best businesses in the world is those dividends. And so I don't want you to forget that we have those. And even though all of our values were going down for a while in 2022 and slowly coming back in 2023, that whole time we as business owners were earning those profits, earning those dividends, and that those were getting reinvested back into those accounts at bargain prices that we may never see again. I did a podcast episode called 3 Lessons from 3 Bear Markets, because believe it or not, we've been through 3 bear markets, 3 times when the S&P 500 has dropped by 20% or more in the last 5.5 years. That's a lot for a really short amount of time. So I did 3 lessons from 3 bear markets. I'll link to that down in the lower part of this our spring review update page, and you can listen to that there or watch it or whatever you want to do if you're interested to know more. A couple other big updates, right, from just the global economy and markets. So I guess, 1, the market recovered. Number 2, inflation was crushed, right? We did it. They soared back in 2022. They started jacking up rates, and then it came back down, and now we're sitting right in that 3%-ish range, right where it should be. And so they did their job. It worked. The quick, rapid rise in interest rates may have been uncomfortable, but it totally worked. And it did what it had to do, and the chemo is always unpleasant, but the cancer of inflation is much worse. And so that's awesome. Like we did that. And of course, through all that, people worried, like, was this going to cause a recession? Was this going to cause the GDP to just get crushed? And guess what? The recession never happened. The recession never happened. I mean, there's an ambulance going down the road. I don't know if you can hear that in the background, which maybe takes away from what I'm trying to say. But the recession has yet to have happened. In fact, GDP is up. A lot of other indicators are up, right? Just to give you a few. Let's see here. What do I got? So unemployment is down even further than it was a couple years ago. It was already at a really low, nice level, and it's down to 3.7%, which is awesome. Wages are up. Wages have increased. GDP is up. I think I mentioned that already. Consumer spending is strong. The sentiment is up. The Fed, now that it has the rates up, it has some wiggle room, right? When they're at 0, they can't do a lot to help, but when they're in the middle there, they can either increase them or decrease them to help kind of stabilize the economy. So that's some good flexibility it has back in there. And people are finally starting to turn optimistic. And when people are optimistic, the market usually continues to go up. And so, again, nobody's forecasting anything about what will happen in the future. But as we're standing right now, at least as I'm recording this, things are looking pretty good. And so Yeah, there's a lot to be hopeful, up to be optimistic about. So I just want to share some of those things with you. We send out a kind of a charts email every once in a while. I think I would have already sent this out by the time you're probably watching this, but you can learn more in that one. One aspect that I'll just mention, right, is that even though almost everything looks good right now, there's always an exogenous variable, what Nick Murray calls an exogenous variable that might be out there. That looking forward, everything seems like it's going to work well and be good, but unless something else from out of nowhere comes in and messes things up. 2 years ago, that was Russia invading Ukraine. Everything was looking great then too, and then this thing came in and it kind of messed everything up. So barring that happening, we may be in for some good years coming up, which will be fun. Some firm updates for you. First of all, 2023 was a great year for us just as a firm. We had a lot of growth, brought on a lot of client households, really able to help a lot of people. We're still very much in growth mode, right? We want to all kind of get to the point where we have, a certain set number of households that we're helping and that we're focusing all of our attention on. We're still not there yet, right? Still early on in the building phase. And so that was a great year. We were able to help a lot of people. Really excited about that. So thank you to all of you who recommended friends, coworkers, family members, all those things to come and meet with us. Again, we never ask you to sell us or to convince people to work with us. But anytime you can get someone to meet with us and allow us to just connect with them and show them whether or not we can help them or not, that's obviously then on us to be able to help them more than we cost. So thank you to all of you who introduced us to people. It was a big help, and we were able to help a lot of people. In other news, Ben passed his CFP exam, so he's now the third person in our office to have passed that exam. He'll be able to officially use the marks later this spring after he's met his experience requirement. And so then you're working with a firm, right? That's 3 out of 3 advisors have their CFP marks, which is very rare in the space. Sometimes you'll have 1 or 2 people, or maybe 10% of the advisors, 20% of the advisors have their CFP, but all 3 of us do. So that's exciting. We're dedicated to always being top notch, giving the best service. And so he knows everything a CFP does. He passed the exam. He just can't call himself one yet, but that will be coming really soon. So we're dedicated to making sure we're always giving you the best advice. And of course, a completely fiduciary way. So hats off to him for passing it on the first try. A couple other things, we're hired some interns this year, just so again to keep elevating us so that we can keep doing our best work, right? I want to get to the point where I'm only spending my time on making good content that's helpful to people, educational, inspirational, and working with clients. And that's it. Right? I don't need to be the one posting the videos to YouTube though, or upload them to the podcast machine. So we've hired Ethan as a media specialist to help kind of do a lot of that stuff for us, and Alex as an operations team member to help kind of processing data and forms and all those things, just to help take some of that stuff off of our plates. And as Ben continues to elevate as well and help more people, he has less and less time to do some of these things. So we're all getting better, and we've brought in some people to help us to just serve you better. So you may see some emails from them. You may see them floating around in here. They may be in here when you come in for your spring review, and you can meet them then. And then lastly, just for a firm update, I think we mentioned this, right? This is the first year where we are open season for tax returns. So we've always reserved tax returns for our clients, but this year we're open up to anyone. A lot of CPAs have either stopped taking new clients, have jacked up their prices, some have retired, and all the clients are trying to find other places to go. And we've gotten more efficient. We've gotten better at what we're doing, and we're always going to look at that from a tax planning perspective. So if you know anyone else who's looking for a good tax preparation, tell them to come see us. It's lacrossetax.com. We'll forward straight to the page where we talk about it. There's a link, I think, down in this spring review page that will show you how to get that. So anywhere from, anyone from anywhere, locally is best, I think, but we can also take them from out of state. That's no problem at all. So it's a couple of firm updates for you. Some action items. We are going to update your net worth and cash flow statements. We did podcast episode 96 on the power of cash flow and net worth. We'll link to that below as well. You can listen to that if you want. We did this last year for anyone who was with us at the beginning of last year, where we created a net worth statement, a cash flow statement. And so for all of them, we'll be updating them. And for some of you people who have come on in the last year, right, this will be probably the first year we're doing that with you. But it's just a good way to see where are we at? Where's a good snapshot in time right at the end of the year? Where was everything? And where are we, and then to be able to compare year over year and continue to see things growing as we're saving more, as the investments are working over time, as we're paying things down. It's just great to be able to see that, see the progress where we've been, to know where we've gotten to. So with that, right, if you want that to be done for your spring review, we need you to upload to us your year-end statements for any investment accounts that you have outside of us, right? So if you have 401ks, that'd probably be the main one. I think for most of your clients, we have everything else. But if there are any other accounts we don't have, right, 401ks being the big one, to upload the latest statement for that. And that way we can kind of have that be as accurate as possible when we meet. And we'll make any corrections in the meeting, which won't be a big deal. Of course, when we do your taxes, we'll produce that cash flow statement for you as well. And then secondly, this is a good year to double up or to review our investment policy statement. So there's a button below, it says investment policy statement. Click that. It's now a 2-page document. It's the same one you signed before. It used to be 1 page with kind of smallish print. I just made the print bigger, and so that's why it's 2 pages. But it's a good one to just review quick and make sure you agree with all those things. So that's how we're investing your accounts. That's the principles that we're operating out of. And I don't want it to be something where maybe, for some of you guys signed these years ago, and you haven't looked at it since. So it's just a good year to review that and make sure we're all on the same page with how we're doing your investments. So click below to read that. We'll have you sign one in our meeting. And so it'd be good for you to read it ahead of time and know what you're signing before you sign it. Lastly, just some personal updates for me. I continue to really just enjoy my time with my family. I try not to let this job interfere with that at all. I take evenings off. I don't really work weekends. Kayla is just thriving as a mom and in her community and doing a lot in the community to help others, which is great. We're involved with Safe Families for Children, which is where we take on kids. It's kind of like mini foster care, except it's not through the government, it's through an organization with the goal being that we're reconnecting those kids back to their families as soon as possible instead of taking them away. So she does a lot of that. She's, as the one who's at home, ends up taking on a lot of that responsibility and a lot of that help. And so that's really cool that she's been doing really well at that. Our daughters, Elodie and Emmeline, they are turned 2 and 4 this past December, and we're just loving life with them. Elodie will go to pre-K next this coming fall here, but just enjoying having them around. They're loving giving me running hugs right now. Where when I get home, they run across the room and jump in my arms, and there's just nothing better than that, right? So that's been fabulous. And then other news is that we are continuing. We've had great growth at our firm for last year, and we're expecting to in 2024 as well. But my family is also going to be growing in 2024. We're expecting our 3rd child in August here of 2024. So that will be exciting. We actually ended up miscarrying this past summer, which was hard for us. We actually would have been having that baby right around now. But we are now 12, 13, 14, depending on when you're watching this, right? It's 13 or 14 weeks into this current pregnancy, so we're hoping we're over the hump there and are expecting and looking forward to meeting, I suppose, our 4th child here, but our 3rd child will be born here in August. With that, I will probably be taking most of August off and some of September, maybe being available a little bit for emails and whatnot, but hopefully we can get everything done around that, and that shouldn't be a problem for you as clients. So really excited about that, and I think that's mostly everything that we want to chat about. So really looking forward to talking with you at our spring review. And for sure, send us any agenda items that you want to talk about, questions that you have, just subjects, questions off of these things. We're happy to talk through anything and everything. And of course, we'll have our agenda, your tax return review, net worth and cash flow statements, etc. So we've got enough to talk about, but we always want to talk about your stuff first. So looking forward to that meeting. We'll see you whenever you schedule. And until then, cheers.